How's it going, YouTube? Captain OG here with Team KYP once again. This is actually like our third profile of the night. So anyways, today I'm actually bringing you in post Extreme Force a Vendread deck profile. Some of the new support was subpar. Most people would probably agree with that. I think the only two cards out of the new support that was worthwhile was actually the Quick Play Spell, which is Vendread Charge, as well as the new Ritual Monster, which you'll see in a little bit. Anyways, I still really like the deck. I feel my build is a little bit scummy still because I don't know, man. That one trap I play is still it's a really spicy tech that I really like.
Well, you call it you call it your own. It's Full Force Vendread.
So yeah, the real title of this deck is called Full Force Vendread.
You know how much sense that makes to it? Like it's a fucking virus.
Yeah. But anyways, getting to the deck. I still feel that the best combo is really like an Omega with one either Slayer or one Ritual Monster on board and a weak monster with the one trap set. With the one trap set, you get rid of almost your one's entire hand, and then the Omega just gets rid of something else. So especially against something like Pendulum Magicians, if you're really lucky, you get that playoff. Oh, it's just beautiful. Then that's it. They're gone. They're done. That's it. They're not getting any of their resources back to the board. It's a beautiful thing. I got it off once or twice online against a Pendulum player, and they hated me after that. But anyways, we'll get to the deck profile. But just a heads up, I do not have a side deck just yet. But chances are I'd be playing something like Evenly Matched, Cosmic Cyclones, Hand Traps, Kaijus, and stuff like that. So
it's all experimental.
Yeah, it's all experimental right now, and I find because of the way the deck is, and even with the Shinui engine, as well as the what do you call it, like Gofu and it's the basic zombie support, it's hard to really put hand traps in this deck because of just how tight the deck is as a whole. Unless you're playing a 60 card variant, but even then you're sacrificing consistency for it. So I grabbed mine. Yeah, I had it at 3 maybe.
Yeah, should have been awesome.
Anyway, so this is a 40 card deck with the 15 card extra deck, but there is no side, but the side is up to personal preference like usual. So we'll get to the profile now. Alright, so this time we're going to start with the main, then the extra. So, to start off, the new almost boss monster of the deck, Vendread Battle Lord. Battle Lord, what he does is, he's almost like a shock master where you banish a Vendread card out of the graveyard and you clear either spell trap or monster effect. Then whichever one you declare, your opponent can activate that kind of card for the rest of the turn. What makes him kind of crappy is that he's only on your turn. You cannot do that during your opponent's. If it was during your opponent's turn, he'd be broken. But he has a very similar effect to, say, Slayer, where if you send to the graveyard, you can send a Vendread card from your deck to the grave, and then search for a Ritual Monster. It's not as good as Slayer, but it helps, especially if you should you try to build a version of the deck using the I think it's called Vendread Reorigin or something like that. It's the trap from the last set, where if you have banished Vendread monsters, you can reveal a ritual monster in your hand, special summon the banished ones to ritual summon this guy, one of the ritual monsters. But I find that play is very specific, and it's hard to set up. I was only able to get it off like once or twice when using this deck. So I ended up taking it out, and I just find it's not very useful. But anyways, he's a really good card. He's a 27 beat stick, and you know what? I still find he's a really good addition to the deck. Next, I play 3 of the real boss monsters. The real boss monster, Vendread Slayer. Unfortunately, I'm still looking for a super, my last super. But anyways, this card is searchable through the pre-prep, which is really good. Searchable through the field spell, Vendread Knights. Anyways, he's just the boss monster of the deck, really. Banish a zombie type monster in your graveyard against 300 attack, so he becomes just as strong as Vendread Battle Lord. And which reminds me, normally if you're using the Vendread main deck monsters, Battle Lord or Vendread Slayer will actually inherit more effects. So they become really powerful, especially if you use like the original Vendread cards, like the Vendread Hound Horde and the Revenant. But anyways, we'll get to that in a little bit. Speaking of Hound Horde, 3 Vendread Hound Horde, really good if you use them for the not only the trap card, but also He's good if you ritual summon him on the field for the Vendread ritual monster, mainly because he allows the Vendread ritual monster to target and banish spells and traps once per turn during either player's turn. So you start to gain advantage if he's on board for more than like a turn. So he's really, really good. I decided to lower this down to 2. It's a really, really good card, but I find it's not as good as Hound Horde. It's easier to summon back from the grave, and it's got the requirements for the trap again. But it's really hard to gain advantage with him and using his effect. Sure, he's like a draw engine within himself to be used with a ritual card, because when you use for ritual, if your Vendread monster battles, you can draw and discard. Draw 1 card, discard 1 card. Which is good for, I guess, cycling through your hand and getting your zombie cards to the grave, but it's an okay effect. It's not amazing. I only play 1 Revenant. Now because of the way the quick play spell is, which we'll get to in a bit, he's a lot easier to get on board, so you don't have to waste your normal summon on it. And when he's used for a ritual monster, when he uses a material for a ritual monster, it allows your ritual monster to target and banish special summon monsters. So if you combo this Revenant and Hound Horde off, then you're really gaining advantage just with that 1 ritual monster if your opponent can't get over it. And a lot of the times, say your opponent tries using Regeki or Dark Hole, you'll have your ritual spell in the graveyard to protect it. So you just gain more and more advantage that way. So it makes your, sure, everyone says, oh, you can't gain advantage with these ritual monsters and these things, but because of the way the deck operates, it's really making your 1 or 2 ritual monsters into boss monsters. And it's, sure, there's a kaiju for everything, but in all reality, it still really, really works, and it's still really, really helpful. Hell, I've seen a Vendread deck go up and beat a Blue Eyes deck from MCall40's channel, and I was watching that thing, and I was like, yes, use that ritual monster. I was really enjoying it. Anyways. And then to the, I guess, basic general zombie support, Shirinui Solitaire, because, it's really good to go into 3 of these guys. Unizombies. Unizombies still like a heart and soul of the deck. If you're not playing Vendread, you're playing Unizombie. And you're going for the level 8 synchro monsters. Same thing, 3 Mizukis. I still haven't been able to get matching copies of this, so yeah. And the obligatory 1 Gofu. Because of how tight the deck is as it is, it's hard to play hand traps. And because of the variant that I'm playing, it's a going first turn build. And anyways, Gofu is he helps facilitate going second, because I do play like a handful of links in this deck now, but it's more or less just going into something like Barrel Load. Anyways, going for the spells now. Vendread Origin, the only ritual spell that we have right now, so we really need another one in the final set of support, which hopefully we get. Not only is it good for ritual summoning your zombie type ritual monsters from the grave or your hand, but it also protects them from grave. If your monster should be Vendread monster or monsters get destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this from the grave and save them. Now for the this is the new spell, Vendread Charge. Discard a zombie type monster from your hand, special summon 1 from deck. It's more or less a 1-for-1 for the deck, which everyone said this is mediocre, but I find this is amazing, because it helps get your Vendread monsters to the field, use them for the ritual monster, and really make your ritual monsters into boss monsters. So, like I said, I really, really like this. Just general draw power, 3 allures.
Everything's dark.
Everything in the except for the Shirinui and the Mizukis. But even then, if they have those in your hand and you banish and you activate this and you don't draw into something, oh no, the Mizuki went to the grave. It's not that bad. Advantage. Pre-prep, you search for a ritual monster and a ritual spell. So even if you happen to have this as well as a Solitaire, then you're playing both your Shirinuis and your Solitaire. Shirinui Solitaire and your Vendread in the same turn, which is awesome. I only play 2 Vendread Knights because I find the charge is better, but still, it's really, really good for searching for your cards, especially for like your ritual monsters. So, yeah, that's pretty good. 2 Pot of Desire. You're playing 2 or 3 of virtually all the main important cards in the deck. So I find that's really helpful, and especially if you happen to get like a pre-prep and this, you're really gaining advantage. +2 from 2 cards, you know, it's hard to go wrong with that. And then the real scummy part of the deck, which I cannot get enough of, Full Force Virus. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 monsters that are searchable and that are easy to summon with this card. So yeah, it's really, really good. Just to give you an idea, it's you tribute a 2000 defense or higher dark monster. Look at your opponent's hand. Anything with 15 defense or lower gets sent to the graveyard. So,
which is practically every
like all
hand.
like main like meta decks right now.
Unless you're running like Monarchs.
Yeah, but even then, you know, you're not too worried about that. So there's that. Now for the extra 2 Omegas. Mandatory, any kind of zombie deck recycles your banished zones and takes cards out of your opponent's hand. It's rare, but I do go into some 7s. As more or less went for disruption cards. So Black Rose Moonlight to bounce your opponent's high level monsters and negate level 5 or higher monster effects. These are 2 situational cards that I have had to summon every now and again. Trishula and Beelzus. Beelzus is just a really, really good card. You can't get enough of that monster. It's either this or Beelz. But Beelz is good for just gaining battle damage effectiveness. This is good because it separates you and your opponent's life points by 4,000.
Separates the men from the boys.
He targets opponent's monster by opponent's monster reduces its attack to 0. When it battles it, your opponent only takes half damage, but it's at 4k, so it's still taking 2,000 damage, but you gains your life points by the exact same amount of damage your opponent took. So
you gain 2,000?
Yeah, 2,000. So it's really, really good. And then Trishula, if you manage to bring them out, it's banish 1 from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard. So it's a good card. Scarlet Red Dragon forges a board wipe. Then I just played a bunch of like general rank 4s, so like bouncing face-up cards, battling over your opponent's monsters with lightning. Abyss Dweller can screw you over, but I really don't like something like Burning Abyss going off, so I main that. Same thing with Mambuguska. Mambuguska is just a really good monster to play. Yeah, it's a really good monster to have on board. And if anything, it just stalls you out, stalls your opponent out. And if I have an opportunity to go into this, I'll go into it. 1 Barrel Load Dragon, but it's more or less just with the Gofu play. Gofu play with the 2 tokens will bring out these 2, Link Spider and Link Rebo. And then you just normal summon something else and you go into your Barrel Load. But then chances are, because of the way the hands work, you'll really be able, especially if you're going second, oh boy, you're really building a pretty decent board with that. But anyways, that's the deck profile. Hope you liked it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Give me some advice if you want for maybe an extra deck or whatever. And even in the main, if you guys can think of some way to put in hand traps, let me know in the comments below. Thanks a lot.
See you later. Team KYP out.